Now let's talk about creating your native ad content. As my coach told me, try it my way first and then go ahead and try it your way. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the types of content that work, what types of headlines work best, my advertorial writing framework, how to add and where to add your links and CTAs, how to make sure you're actually getting that click-through rate, which is so vital to your native ad success. And then we're also going to talk about the layout. So first, let's talk about the types of content that work well. First, when I talk about advertorials, I mean advertorial at the broad sense of the word. I don't care about the medium. I don't care if it's a blog post, if the sidebar's on the left or the right, or there's no sidebar, if it's an image, an infographic, an audio, a video. An advertorial is a piece of content that's supposed to look like editorial, but it is actually an advertisement. That's where the word advertorial comes from. It's an advertisement and an editorial that got together and made some babies. All right. So that's what an advertorial is. I don't care what medium you use, stick to this framework and you should be okay. The type of content that I like best is common mistakes. Everybody loves to avoid mistakes. It's been proven in tons of psychological studies that people are more willing to avoid pain than they are to pursue pleasure. That's why there's more people trying to save money than trying to become wealthy. People are, their way, the general human being race thinks that the way that they can make more money is by pinching pennies and saving money, avoiding pain. Instead of maybe I should start a business or maybe I should buy some stocks, pursuing that pleasure, that wealth. So common mistakes is my favorite. It gets a stronger click-through rate. Now, the other ones can work well as well, but this one is my go-to. You put a gun to my head, you say, you got to make money with this one. You cannot fail. This is the one that I'm going to use, and the other ones are kind of like other tools in the toolbox. A good format for the headline of a common mistakes advertorial is, are you making these mistakes with your English? Or are you making these English mistakes? And that's a famous advertisement written decades ago. And I just kind of swiped that headline and made it my own by saying, are you making these Facebook ad mistakes? And that was one of my best advertorials that ran for quite a while. And that's really what you want to do with your headlines is you want to take proven headlines, things that have worked over and over and over again for decades, ideally, and then just kind of adapt them to fit your model, okay? And inside this course, in the course resources section, there's a headline swipe file of tons of great proven headlines. The next type of content that works really well is a listicle. A listicle is an article that lists different things. For example, 3 ways to get bigger muscles, 5 foods that make you fat. We made one time. It was like 7 natural ingredients to lower your blood pressure or lower your blood sugar for a client. And the 7 ingredients, the 7 natural ingredients, were just the 7 things that were inside his pill, the supplement that he was selling. And so it had a really easy transition at the end to get the click and to make the sale. It's because the whole article, the whole advertorial is teaching them about each of these ingredients and how they solve the problem and why. And then at the end, it's like you could go and eat all that stuff. You could go eat all the chicken soup and the bananas and whatever, or you can just go here, buy this bottle, take this pill once a day, and get all the same benefits. So listicles can be really powerful too, especially for supplement markets, anything in the food market, Health does really well with listicles. There's also great listicles in the finance market, like the 5 stocks you should buy in July, or the 5 stocks you should buy at the beginning of every year, 10 stocks to buy in 2017. Listicles can be really powerful as well. Another format is case studies. These work extremely well in the B2B space. For whatever reason, every business owner wants to know how the business down the street is doing so much better than they are. And that business down the street wants to know why the business up the street is doing so much better than they are. Everybody thinks everybody else is winning. We're the only ones losing. That's just kind of sometimes the mentality entrepreneurs get into. And so entrepreneurs and marketers, people wanting to make money online, they really flock to headlines like how Jon made $10,000 in 30 days with a brand new Shopify store. One of them that I did was I spent $30,000 testing different blog designs. Here's what I learned. That thing was unstoppable. Like, all I did was put it out there and tweet it, and it just got retweets. It's still getting retweets every day. I had to turn off my Twitter notifications because at some point in the beginning, it was great. I loved all those notifications. It made me feel really good. But at some point, you're just like, okay, I don't want to get these notifications anymore. And so the right case study can just live on and on and on and on. And that blog post actually has one of my affiliate links for a theme that I use on my blogs. And it's, the important thing is no lying. There's a lot of advertorials out there, and we're going to get into a section later on about the difference between good and bad advertorials. We're not lying. We're not making stuff up. I believe that marketing should help the person, and you're going to make a lot more money. And adding value to the world is a thing you do. That's the goal. How do I add value to the world? How do I extend my reach of this value with this advertorial, blog post, infographic, YouTube video, whatever your format or your medium is? How do I extend the reach of this value? And then money is a symptom of value. People exchange money for value. All right, so let's get into the actual advertorial framework. This is part 1. Kind of going to break the advertorial into 3 parts, beginning, middle, and end. So the advertorial, you have to understand, its job is just to pre-sell the reader on the next step. Its job is not to sell the product. Okay, it's supposed to pre-sell the reader on taking the next step. You want to create the content designed to get them to the next step, whether it be a lead or a sale. Okay, and we're going to break that down, how you exactly do that over the next 2 or 3 lessons here. You're going to start with a yes set. This is a NLP tactic or a hypnotism tactic that just gets somebody in an agreement state right away. And so when I first taught this on stage, the example was, do any of you want to make more money? And without even like phrasing that to the audience, they immediately, like, hands went up in the air. And that's just the power of a yes set. I wasn't even asking them really. It was just an example. And you might have even said in your head, yes, I want to make more money. The human brain, sometimes it cannot control how it reacts to certain words and certain phrases, and a yes set is one of those things. You ask a no-brainer yes question. For example, in the weight loss market, do you want to lose 30 pounds? Yes. In the financial market, do you want to know the one stock to buy this year to get 1,000% gains? These no-brainer yes questions start the reader off in an agreement state, and makes them want to keep reading. They're like, yes, this is what I want. I'm going to keep reading. The more obvious the answer, the yes answer is, the better. And sometimes I like to start off with 3 yes sets. So, for example, do you want to make more money? Do you want to do it with an easy online system? Would you like to be able to make $1,000 in 30 days? That's 3 yes sets. So I'm kind of evolving teasing what the solution might be. And those yes sets really come down to your market research, making sure that you know who your customer is and what they want. And then those yes sets become obvious yes answers for them and pulls them into the rest of the advertorial. This is very critical pieces. So then moving along into the advertorial, now getting kind of into what you're actually saying to them. The formula that I use, age-old copywriting formula, invented by guys far smarter than I am, who've made many millions, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars more than I have. It's problem, agitate, solution. This has been used for decades, maybe centuries. And what it is you are going to, you want to invoke the problem. I call it scratching the mosquito bite. So a lot of times a mosquito bite initially has an itch, but then it kind of goes away if you can forget about it. But if something brushes up against that mosquito bite and agitates it again, it's almost like you can't think of anything else. You must itch that mosquito bite, and that's what I mean about the problem and agitate. You need to remind them what the problem is. Make sure that they know that you understand the problem they have. And then you need to agitate that problem. So if you're saying something like, do you want to lose weight? But, maybe you've tried dieting for 10 years. You've tried the Atkins. You've tried the South Beach diet. You've tried the lemon soup diet and the Weight Watchers and whatever. And so you're agitating it by reminding them of all the different things that they've tried and how many years they've been looking for a solution. And really, as my mentor told me, he said what you need to do is you need to explain the problem to the prospect better than they understand it, which is what gets them to trust you. You trust the doctor because the doctor is able to explain your earache and how to fix it better than you know how to, right? That's what makes us trust someone else, is when we feel like they understand the problem, not only understand the problem, but understand it better than we do, then we trust that person. We can't not trust that person. So that's the job your advertorial is supposed to do, is as you're writing out the rest of the pieces, you've started off with the 3 yes sets, they're in an agreement state, and then you're going into and talking about the problem, agitating the problem, and then teasing the solution. You want to make sure that you're explaining the problem to the prospect better than they understand it. And that will force them to trust you, which is going to go a long way to getting the click and the sale. Now, the other thing that I want to add is you need to make sure you include ethos, pathos, and logos. At least 2 of them. And this was invented by a famous Greek guy. I forget if it's Aristotle or Socrates, but one of those geniuses from back in the Greek days where they figured out everything. And what he did is he took all the greatest presentations that were being made in the Colosseum, and he boiled down what makes an argument work. How does somebody win an argument or a debate? And he boiled down all these presentations and what makes them work into this ethos, logos, and pathos. And so ethos is credibility and trust. It is the confidence in which you speak. It is citing credible sources. Like, if you think about this lesson, I have cited my mentors a couple of times. I'm citing Aristotle and Socrates right now. These things help you trust what I'm saying. And if you use them in your own content, it will help your readers and listeners trust what you're saying. And then there's logos, which is the logic, the reason, the proof. This is why we hear about we need to always have testimonials in our sales pages. But there's more than that. You need to include charts, references to studies, statistics. You also need to make comparisons and analogies and metaphors. Adding this logic with the credibility, you can see how this starts to become like, how could they not believe you? It's said, when this is taught in a book called On Rhetoric, super old book, very hard to read. If you really want to challenge yourself, I dare you to go do it. I've tried. I just go to the summaries now. But it's said that if you include all three of these, the human brain has no way to defend against it. These are the three things that make it trust something. And if you can deliver these three in the right way, the human brain has no defenses left. It has to trust you. The last one is pathos. This is the emotion, the values. It's telling stories. It's using inspirational quotes and vivid language. So, you hear these different elements from all the experts and all the different blog posts and content that's out there. You hear people saying you have to include storytelling, you have to include testimonials, you have to make sure they trust you, and that you have endorsements and you have credibility. Well, all of them need to come together, and if you can include all three, it's a slam dunk. If you include at least two, you should do well. If you don't include any of them, good luck to you. But these are the three things you need to make sure you include in your advertorial. Make sure you're telling a story. Make sure you're citing credible resources. You have confidence in the way that you're writing. Don't do any of the, anyways, so this is what I was saying. You don't want to use that kind of language. You want to be very confident in the language that you're using. And then you want to make sure that you're referencing studies and statistics. You're using comparisons, analogies, metaphors. If you do all three of these things, the reader has no choice but to trust you. Now let's talk about the end of the advertorial, part 3. You want to tease the solution. You never want to say what it is. You want them to click the link, and the CTR is really, you have the ad CTR of them actually clicking the ad in the ad network inside of, on the website or inside the ad network. And then you have the advertorial CTR. So that's them clicking over to the money page, the sales page, the webinar, wherever it is that you're sending them to. That's really crucial. And so if you were to give away the solution in that advertorial, you're going to lose a lot of the click-through rate because people are going to be able to decide whether it is they want that or not. When you're teasing the solution, a couple of things that I like to do is I like to create some inline links. Now, these are some kind of like hacks you can do to increase your CTR. Inline links means certain words or phrases in your advertorial that are linked, hyperlinked, they're blue and underlined. Now, you want to make those things, the things that they would be curious about. So for instance, if your advertorial is about weight loss and you have a sentence in there that has the phrase, "This method helped me lose 30 pounds, I might link this method. And people are, they would be curious. Oh, what is this method? They may, instead of continuing to read your advertorial, they just may, hey, what's the method? And that links over to your money page. And so I like to have at least 3 inline links, beginning, middle, and end. And then I like to have my CTA at the bottom. The CTA could be just another link. A strong one is click here to continue. People want closure, and if you've teased the solution the right way, then people are going to want to click over to get to the final part. So just a regular blue link, click here to continue, works really well. Famous billion-dollar financial publisher Agora, they often use a picture of a video because most of their sales pages are VSLs, video sales letters, and so they will often end their advertorial with a clickable picture of a video, and the end of the advertorial will say something like, watch this video to learn more. And so the advertorial is kind of kicking off what, the topic and why you should want to watch this video, and then ends with click here to watch the video. They go to click play on the video player and it takes them over to the video. Another one is just having an opt-in form down at the bottom, and you could just say, if you want to know what the solution is, I'll send you a pamphlet, I'll send you a brochure, I'll send you link to a webinar where you can learn more about this thing. So, just having an opt-in form at the bottom is another good, strong CTA. Another tool that I like to use is Sumo. You can find it at sumo.com, SUMO. And they allow you to add time-delayed pop-ups to your page. So they also allow you, I believe, like if you've gotten to a certain percentage down the way of the page, it can add the pop-up. So I like to have the 3 inline links, a strong CTA, and then also the time-delayed pop-up. That way there's no way that they can miss what my offer is. And with all 3 combined, I get the high CTR, that high click-through rate that I'm looking for. Also, by doing it this way, I'm not creating so many ads around the content that I'm kind of choking the content. What you don't want to do is you don't want to add so many CTAs and banners and links that it's hard for people to know what is even the content. It's important that they actually be able to read your advertorial, which will then create that high CTR for you.